Darius Cole stepped onto the plane like anyone else, but before he could even sit down, a white woman flagged the flight attendant. "He doesn't belong here," she said, loud enough for the cabin to hear. "He just walked in like he owns the place." Darius didn't argue, didn't flinch. He handed over his boarding pass. Calm, direct, 2A. Still, she wouldn't drop it. "I don't feel safe next to someone like that." The crew hovered. Nobody moved. Everyone waited to see what he'd do. People glanced at each other. Someone adjusted their phone, just in case. Then the captain showed up and asked Darius to step off the plane. But what happened next? Let's just say the woman who tried to get him removed was about to be the one walking. It was supposed to be routine. First-class ticket, early flight from Atlanta to D.C. Nothing new for Darius Cole. But people didn't see his resume when he boarded. They saw his hoodie, his skin, his seat, and that was all it took to turn a business trip into a public trial. Row 2A, first class. He didn't stop, didn't second-guess himself, just turned into the aisle and moved. A few heads turned. Not long stares, just quick double takes. The kind that said, "You sure you're in the right place?" Didn't even have time to exhale before it started. From across the aisle, a voice. "Excuse me." He looked up. She was already flagging the attendant. Middle-aged, white, neat blazer, diamond studs flashing as she turned her head with urgency. "I think there's been a mistake," she said. "That man, he wasn't in line with us. I don't think he's supposed to be here." The attendant blinked. "What do you mean, ma'am?" "He came in acting like he was above the rules. That's not a first-class ticket. Look at him." Darius didn't move, didn't speak. He'd heard this tone before. Supermarkets, elevators, hotel lobbies, always the same script. The attendant turned to him. "May I see your boarding pass?" Darius handed it over. No hesitation. 2A. She checked, paused, looked back at the woman. "He's assigned to this seat, ma'am." The woman scoffed. "Seriously, you expect me to believe that?" Her voice climbed, loud enough now that 2 rows ahead a man turned around. The woman didn't care. "He's trying to intimidate people," she said. "I don't feel safe next to someone like that. You need to do something." Darius sat still, hands folded, eyes forward. Another passenger nearby started recording. Quietly, camera tilted. No one said anything, but the energy shifted. It always did when people thought something might go viral. The woman crossed her arms. "I want him moved. Before takeoff, I'm not sitting next to someone like that." The flight attendant froze. She looked back toward the cockpit. "I'll call the captain," she said softly. "You do that," she snapped. "I will not be silenced on my flight." A man in a suit, 3 rows up, turned around and nodded in support. "She has a right to feel safe. If he didn't do anything wrong, he won't mind being checked again." Darius turned slowly. Not angry, just focused. "I already showed my boarding pass," he said. Calm, flat. "I don't have to explain myself twice?" "Then what are you hiding?" the woman snapped. More eyes on them now. A camera angled from behind a pillow, another from the aisle. The flight attendant spoke into her mic. "We need someone from the cockpit. Passenger concern, row 2. Darius stayed silent. Not frozen, just focused. Because this wasn't the first time he'd been treated like a problem, but this time, he was done playing polite. The captain appeared. Mid-40s, pressed uniform, eyebrows tight. "What seems to be the issue here?" The woman pointed again. "He's not supposed to be up here." The captain looked to the flight attendant, then at Darius. "Sir, would you mind stepping off the plane with me? Just to clear this up quickly." Gasps! A murmur. Someone whispered, "No way." But Darius stood, slowly, smooth, and then he reached into his coat. Out came a slim leather badge wallet. He held it up with 2 fingers. Quiet, direct, clear. FBI. Assistant Deputy Director Cole, Homeland Security Division, Washington, D.C. Field Office. The flight crew went still. The woman's face cracked. The man in the suit adjusted his tie and turned away. Darius locked eyes with the captain. "I was heading to a closed session intel briefing, but maybe I need to brief your crew first?" No raised voice, no theatrics, just facts. And silence. Long, painful silence. Then the twist came again. A woman across the aisle stood up, quiet, calm, Latina, early 40s. She held up her own badge. Federal Judge, U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. "I saw the whole thing. And if this flight goes anywhere with him under scrutiny and her untouched, I'll be filing an incident report myself. Boom. Turbulence, before the plane even left the gate. The captain froze, then stepped back. I wasn't aware. Sir, I had no idea. You didn't ask, Darius said. Just reacted. He wasn't shouting, didn't need to. The entire cabin leaned in now. You could hear the air circulation system over the silence. I showed my ticket, sat in my seat, did nothing wrong. He looked at the woman. Her hands clutched her bag tight now, mouth open, nothing coming out. Darius pointed at the woman's carry-on. Did you ask her to show ID? The captain glanced at the flight attendant, then at the woman. Nobody answered. The judge across the aisle shook her head. I've flown hundreds of flights, never once seen a white woman pulled from her seat to prove she belongs, and now you're trying to remove him for what? Being black in 2A? The crew was stuck, like the moment just broke something they couldn't put back together. Passengers started speaking up now. That's what I saw too. She just assumed he didn't belong. I recorded the whole thing. You were out of line, lady. The man in the suit stayed silent. The woman tried to speak. I was just concerned. I didn't mean. Darius cut her off. Still calm. You saw a hoodie, and that was enough. He turned back to the flight crew. Let me ask this. If I didn't have this badge, what would have happened? Nobody answered. You dragged me off the plane, missed my assignment, embarrassed me, all because she said I made her uncomfortable? The word uncomfortable echoed like a curse word in the quiet. I didn't raise my voice, didn't cause a scene. I followed every rule, but it didn't matter, did it? The captain swallowed. You're absolutely right, sir. This never should have happened. We apologize. Save it, Darius said. I've got a flight to catch, and you've got a report to write. He turned to the judge. You good? She nodded once. I'm good. You? Darius gave a faint smile. I've been through worse. He sat down. The woman still stood, trembling. Then came twist number 2. The captain cleared his throat. Ma'am, I'm afraid you'll need to deboard the plane. Her mouth dropped. Wait, what? I was just trying to. You made false accusations, caused disruption. We have protocols for that. She looked around. Nobody came to her defense. A gate agent appeared. Ma'am, please gather your belongings. She froze, but the plane wasn't waiting anymore. Darius leaned back in his seat. The plane door closed behind her. The cameras went off, but nobody would forget. The door sealed behind her. No applause, no cheering, just silence. The kind of silence people feel in their chest. The flight crew moved fast now. Pre-checks, final instructions. Everyone pretending to focus, but eyes still flicked toward Darius, like they were seeing him for the first time. He didn't look around, didn't smirk, just sat back in his seat, pulled out a tablet, and opened the classified briefing file he was supposed to read an hour ago. The judge leaned over slightly. You handled that better than most would. Darius nodded, eyes still on the screen. Didn't do it for them. Her voice dropped. Did you ever get used to it? He paused. No, but I get better at not carrying it with me. 2 rows back, the man in the suit tried to shrink into his chair. He didn't say a word for the rest of the flight. The captain made an announcement, something about clear skies, estimated arrival. Nobody really listened, but when he finished, he added one thing. And to our guests, thank you for your patience, especially those who were asked to prove what never needed proving. It wasn't much, but it was more than most. The plane lifted off. Darius stared out the window. Below him, the city pulled away, the airport shrinking fast. Above him, the clouds opened. Up here, no gatekeepers. Moral lesson. Never judge someone by how they look, because the person you try to disrespect might be the one holding you accountable.